Do you ever wonder how some people manage multiple roles without burning out? As a neuropsychologist, mom of 2 toddlers, and a business owner, I had to develop a simple strategy to juggle it all while still enjoying life. Now, I've shared my system before, but some of you let me know it was a little overwhelming to get started with, and today I wanted to strip it down to its bare bones so you can easily start implementing it today. So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact productivity system that helps me easily get more done, feel less overwhelmed, and maintain control of my time. To start, let me show you how to achieve to-do list peace. So when my client Elaine first reached out to me, she was the poster child for overwhelm. As a single mom juggling a demanding corporate job in human resources and trying to build her own business on the side, she constantly felt like she was dropping the ball. Either something important at home slipped through the cracks, or she missed a critical deadline at work, which for her was heartbreaking. One day during our weekly Zoom accountability meetings, we started talking about her to-do list. And then as we were talking, Elaine's voice began to crack as she spoke, and tears welled up in her eyes. I paused immediately. The psychologist in me had to really create space for the emotions, and I gently asked what was she feeling in the moment. She took a deep breath and she admitted softly, "Never feeling on top of things just makes me feel like a failure, and like I'm always letting my son or myself down because I can't keep up with it all." When she said that, my heart sank. I knew we had to get to the root of her problem. So after digging deeper, we discovered it wasn't a lack of time holding Elaine back. It was the way she managed her tasks. Every Monday morning, she'd frantically brain dump everything she could think of onto a massive, overwhelming list. Instead of helping her really feel organized, this approach to her to-do list really left her feeling more stressed and more scattered. So using the systems I teach in Systemize Your Goals, we rebuilt her system from scratch, starting with one simple rule: capture tasks immediately into a single running to-do list. No more frantic weekly brain dumps. Incredibly, once Elaine began just using this simple method, her overwhelm melted away. She started feeling calmer, more in control, and finally had space in her life for what truly mattered. And so this is exactly what I want you to do. First, capture all your to-do items in the moment into your running to-do list. As David Allen said, our brains are for having ideas, not for storing them. And if you're a busy, ambitious woman like myself, you know that mental overload is real. But let me tell you the right way to use this capture habit. Whenever a new task pops into your head, immediately capture it into a running to-do list. This applies not just to tasks, but also to ideas, notes, or reminders you want to keep for later. But here's the key. To avoid overwhelm, categorize your captured tasks very clearly. I recommend organizing your running to-do list into 3 simple categories. The first category are one-off tasks. A one-off task is a single specific action you can complete in one sitting. And getting things done terms, this is your next action, the literal next thing you can do to move something forward. So key characteristics of this category: it takes less than 30 minutes generally, or usually far less, and it doesn't need further breakdown. So these are clearly actionable tasks. So let me give you some examples. For a graduate student, this might be something like email a professor about your grade clarification, update your CV with recent publications, pick up library books on hold. For a corporate working mom, that might be sign up your daughter for summer camp, update your LinkedIn profile with a new promotion, review edits for Thursday's team meeting. If you're a mompreneur, some examples might be batch schedule Instagram posts for launch week, order new shipping labels, or outline next week's email newsletter. So category 2 is project task. In getting things done, a project is simply anything that takes multiple steps to complete. So even something small like planning a birthday dinner counts if it requires multiple steps or multiple tasks. So let me give you some examples. For our graduate student, a project might be apply for a graduate research fellowship, or create a poster presentation for a conference, or organize study groups for your finals. For a corporate working mom, a project might be plan your son's birthday party, prepare annual performance reviews, finalize a team budget, maybe even transitioning your child to a new daycare would be a project that has multiple steps, or reorganizing your home office. Some examples for a mompreneur might be launching a new product collection, redesigning your website homepage, creating an evergreen email sales funnel, planning a brand photo shoot. So those are all sort of examples of projects that you might capture on your running to-do list. So the third category are going to be your life area task. And these won't necessarily be tasks that you capture throughout the week, but you might capture when you sit down to do your weekly review or your weekly planning. And what I mean by this is, in Getting Things Done, David Allen provides several trigger list examples to help jog your memory of things that you might want to add to your running to-do list that you may not have thought of. So these are going to trigger your memory. I use my life areas to remind me of this in my Notion second brain. So let me explain this a little bit. So when you're doing your weekly review, these life areas or trigger lists are meant to help you uncover to-dos you may have forgotten or you have pushed aside mentally. So here are some examples of life areas or trigger lists that you might use in your life to kind of jog your memory each week that the book also recommends. There are personal triggers, there are professional triggers, there are general triggers, and then there are also category-based triggers that the book recommends. We already talked about projects, but there are also people triggers, like family members might jog your memory of things you might want to get done for your kids or for your spouse. Calendar triggers, so looking at your calendar, we'll talk about that in a second. Personal growth, you might have a personal growth life area that you check into to see if there's anything you need to get done for that. Home management triggers, and your someday maybe projects that you might want to take a look at to see if there's anything you want to add. And then me as a mompreneur, I also have life areas, social media and marketing, that I look at those like YouTube to see what I need to get done each week to add to my list. I also want to give you some tools that may be helpful for your capture habit. So I recommend using Notion to contain your second brain, including your running to-do list, which in your second brain is going to be your task page. Also your project database and your life areas, things like that. If you're not a Notion girly, a lot of folks like the Todoist app to capture their running to-do list, or things like the Notes app to just keep it simple. People also use like Post-its, notebooks, and desk whiteboards, but just be sure if you're using that to be sure to capture it at the end of the day in your digital system. And then things like flagging emails and physical inboxes for those other things that kind of things you need to get done, but don't fall into things that come to your mind that you're capturing. And so the way that works is you will have your capture in your running to-do list. You'll have your inbox of things you haven't processed on your running to-do list, but you'll also have your inbox in your email of flagged emails, and you'll have your physical inbox that all these things you'll know need to be processed later. Think about the last time you said to yourself, I'll do that later, and then completely forgot about it until it was too late. We've all been there, right? I have a client in my accountability coaching group named Jasmine who is brilliant at capturing tasks. She writes everything down immediately. She has a beautifully organized to-do list, and yet she still felt stressed and overwhelmed. Why? Because tasks would sit on her list untouched for weeks, causing her anxiety every time she looked at them. So one afternoon during our accountability session, Jasmine told me, she said, I feel like I'm doing everything right, but nothing ever gets done. I keep pushing tasks back and it's driving me crazy. So we quickly realized the missing piece. Jasmine had mastered capturing tasks, but she hadn't mastered scheduling them. She was relying solely on her memory or motivation to get things done, which really rarely works consistently. And I knew it was time that we honed in on her time management system. So I share with her a simple phrase adopted from my clinical training. So clinicians often say, write it down or it didn't happen. And in productivity, the rule is schedule it or it won't happen. So we immediately put this into practice. Jasmine began scheduling her captured tasks directly into her calendar, assigning specific days and times to complete them. Suddenly, tasks stopped piling up. Things got done. Her anxiety melted away and it was replaced by a sense of calm and control. The lesson here is simple. Capturing tasks is only half the battle. If you want to truly relieve that mental overload and get things done, you must schedule what you capture, which is why step 2 in this simple productivity system system is to schedule everything. Capturing tasks is great, but your capture system is only as powerful as your ability to follow through. So remember, schedule it or it won't happen. Now, I won't dive deeply into my exact scheduling method here. That's covered extensively in my other videos, like my 3-7 time blocking method video. Instead, let's quickly cover 3 essential aspects of scheduling that ensure nothing slips through the cracks and you actually execute what you capture. The weekly review is the single most important but often overlooked step in productivity. Think of it as the glue holding your entire system together. It's your dedicated time each week to get clear, current, and complete. During your weekly review, you'll clear your inbox and organize everything you've captured. You will reflect on what's working and what isn't working. You'll refocus your priorities and update your projects. You will also identify exactly what needs to get done next week. In short, your weekly review transforms chaos into clarity and turns good intentions into real action. As a little bonus tip, I've created a free Getting Things Done weekly review template that walks you step by step through my entire review process. Grab it from the description below. This brings us to the second key aspect of scheduling, which is weekly planning, where you will take all the items you determine need to be done in this upcoming week and schedule them in your paper planner. Here's how I do this using my BBB scheduling method. First, I book all non-negotiables from my digital calendar to my paper planner. This includes must-dos like appointments, meetings, and weekly routines that are booked in my digital calendar as recurring events. Then I move to-do items for that week to the appropriate batch day around my bookings. Then lastly, I time block my day, matching tasks to the appropriate daily routine using my 3-7 time blocking method. I'll link a video at the end of this one that will give you a full breakdown on how I find time for everything using my BBB method. But what I want you to take away now is that weekly reviewing and planning is crucial to be able to trust this productivity system and actually get things done. Yes, other planning segments like yearly, quarterly, and monthly planning are important, but they are more helpful for looking at the larger picture and staying on track, whereas your weekly and daily planning is what's going to help you actually get things done in the most productive way possible. But you might be wondering, what about all this stuff that comes up between weekly reviews and weekly planning? How do we make sure to get those things done that we captured during the week but are also due to get done before our next planning session? That's where the third key aspect of scheduling comes in, which is your wind down work routine. I want you to dedicate 15 minutes before you end your day to review anything you captured that may be urgent. It may be helpful to devise a wind down work routine checklist to make sure you're checking all the places you usually capture things, not only to add them to your larger capture system, your running to-do list, but to scan for anything that needs immediate attention. You may check things like Post-its on your desk, notebook notes, dry erase board notes, or any notes that you put on your refrigerator. So here are some tools that will help you in your scheduling habit. A paper planner, I suggest my Mod Ambition planner. You can use any planner that you love that has weekly and daily pages. A digital calendar, I use iCal. If your planner doesn't have daily planning pages, you might find a daily plan pad to be helpful. Also things like alarm reminders for your weekly review and for your wind down work routine. So those are some tools. By consistently reviewing, planning, and scheduling your tasks, you'll finally trust your productivity system, and most importantly, you'll actually get things done. Now, I've really simplified this system for you into capture and schedule, but if you want to get the most out of this system, it's important you understand my scheduling method in and out, which is why I've teed up this video I did next on how to find time for everything using my BBB method. Cheers to planning, manifesting, and enjoying your dream life. Namaste.